Welcome to Larry the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, let's rank the Mercyful Fate albums from my least favorite to my favorite. Mercyful Fate being one of those bands that people either love them or they can't get into them. Usually the line in the sand is King Diamond and his vocals with his falsetto and the way he with all these changes his voice up, these characters that he's able to do with his vocals. My wife, for instance, cannot stand King Diamond. There is almost nothing that I can be playing in our house or in the car that she tells me to turn off except for Mercyful Fate and King Diamond. And my wife is a metalhead. She's way more into extreme metal than I am. So she's used to extreme type vocals, but she can't get past King's vocals. And I admit, when I first heard Mercyful Fate, I didn't know what to think of it either. It's because it's so different. It's so not like anything else in heavy metal. I can't really think of, especially back in that time in the 80s, King's voice was really, really unique, and it still is. Mercyful Fate, for me, have always been almost a progressive metal band. They always have tons of riffs and things going on. You hear me talk about this on the channel, that I like what I call gear change riffs, where all of a sudden the riff gets faster or it gets slower. They've got tons of that all over their music. The guitar playing is fantastic, especially from the original guys, Hank Sherman and Michael Denier. Just great lead playing. So this wasn't easy to do. I love all these albums, but I'm going to rank them from my least favorite to my favorite. We've got 7 albums, and coming in at number 7 for me is from 1999, the album 9. Produced by Coy Marshall and Mercyful Fate. This is their last studio album. I don't really like the production on this. It's too bright, it's too compressed and fatiguing on the ears. But overall, for me, there's just not enough catchy, memorable songs on here. Too many of the songs are sort of at the same tempo, and everything just kind of runs into each other. Last Rites, though, is a killer opening track. That, for me, is head and shoulders above all the other songs on here. The Grave is another one I like because it's got this kind of cool, heavy, Sabbathy, Zero the Hero type of riff to it. And Kiss the Demon is pretty catchy. I'm going to be giving all these a ranking 2 out of 10. This one I gave a 3 out of 10. I just don't really care for this one. Definitely my least favorite on this list. All right, number 6 for me is their 5th album from 1996, Into the Unknown. When I was revisiting their catalog, I was surprised at how low this landed on my list. I remember getting this. I've talked about how I drifted away from metal in like the early 90s. Well, when I started to get back into metal and started buying a ton of metal CDs, I remember getting this and liking it. I think I liked it because there's just a lot of riffs on it. But the production is a bit thin for me. It's produced by King, Tim Kimsey, and Brian Slagle. And there's a lot of riffs on it, but the songs just aren't quite catchy enough for me. That said, there's still some cool stuff on here. Lucifer is a great opener. Uninvited Guest has a really memorable chorus. I love Into the Unknown. That one's got tons of riffs to it. I really love in Into the Unknown, there's a spot in there where King's vocals, usually King has a lot of like reverb on his vocals, but in this particular spot, it's very dry and very like upfront and close. And he sings that line, it's so much colder in here. And he's almost like speaking, and it's so creepy. I absolutely love it. But this comes in at number 6 for me, and I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10 just because there's just not enough catchy stuff on here. Not enough grabs me. Okay, number 5. This might have been a little higher on some people's lists. 1994, the Time album. This is the second album after they had their reunion. It's produced by King, Tim Kimsey, and Hank Sherman. I like the production on this one. It's got, compared to their first reunion record, In the Shadows, this one has a little bit more atmosphere to it for me at times. Charlie D'Angelo comes in on bass, Snowy Shaw on drums. Nightmare Be Thy Name, the opening track, is really cool. It's got a really heavy, grinding bass sound. Witches of Dance, dark sounding. I love it. And there's like a string quartet that comes in in the middle of that one, and I love that. I kind of wish that maybe they had done stuff like that more often, used string players, orchestral type of sound, because it totally works with the whole Mercyful Fate sound. Mad Arab is cool. It's got the Middle Eastern kind of scale thing that I love so much from Uli Roth and Richie Blackmore. My Demon has a old school Fate sound to it that I like. The Afterlife is it's a very creepy atmospheric vibe to it. Castillo del Motez, I like the nylon string Spanish guitar stuff in the intro to that one. So I'd give this one a 7 out of 10. There are a few on here that just kind of don't work for me, but it's still overall a very strong record. Okay, this may be a surprise to a lot of people, because after I did my list, I went and looked at other people's lists, and a lot of people had this at the bottom of their list, their least favorite, but I really like this one, Dead Again from 1994. Mike Weed comes in on guitar, replacing Michael Denier, who had been with the band up until this point. Produced by Sterling Winfield and Mercyful Fate. A lot of people don't like the production on this. They feel it's a little too grungy or dry and boxy. They feel like the guitars don't sound right, but I like the production. I think that the dry sound of it really makes it sound heavy and makes it very upfront and just very present. I think the guitars sound great. They're a little thicker and more distorted than a traditional Mercyful Fate guitar sound, but I think it really works. And I think what I really like about this record is there's a lot of weird changes and a lot of weird like guitar harmonies and guitar parts, and there's a fair number of doomy type riffs, and I'm a huge doom metal fan, so I love that it's just not all fast stuff all the time, that you get these doom metal sounding riffs that I think really fit with the production and the guitar sounds on here. Torture 1629 is awesome. Since Forever, a weird, creepy intro, and overall just a really weird, disturbing vibe to it, shifting between loud and soft sections. Banshee, super heavy riffs and a grinding tempo. Mandrake and Sucking Your Blood, these dark sounding riffs and catchy choruses. I absolutely love Dead Again at 13 minutes 40 seconds. It's like some sort of demented metal theater opera tune with all these different sections coming in. Again, King does this so well. The storytelling, changing his vocals, the sound of his vocals to keep it interesting. He's like a character vocal singer for me. He does it so well in that song. The last song on the record, Crossroads, I absolutely love the main riff in that song. It is so killer. So I like this one. I know that's slightly contrarian. I give this one an 8 out of 10. Okay, number 3 for me is the reunion album from 93, In the Shadows. It's the only one in the reunion era with Tim Henson on bass. Everybody comes over from Melissa and Don't Break the Oath, except for Kim Ruz on drums. We get Morten Nielsen on drums here. I do wish that Tim Henson had... I love his bass playing, so I'm glad that he's on here. The production on here is really clean and tight. I like it. Egypt, super catchy in the riffs and the vocals. The Bell Witch is awesome. The Old Oak at 8 minutes 55 seconds is epic. So many killer riffs and sections. 13 Invitations, I love the triplet kind of 12/8 feel of that one. Room of Golden Air is an instrumental with some cool acoustic guitars in it. Is That You, Melissa? Ties us back to the first 2 albums. The harpsichord in this sets this sort of haunted house type mood. So this is a really awesome record. I give this one 9 out of 10. It's almost like they picked up where they left off. Which sometimes when bands do reunion records, you never know what you're going to get. And a lot of times it never really sounds like it fits with the earlier stuff. But this one, considering it came out in 93, basically 10 years, 9 years after their last record, it seems like they haven't missed a step. It seems like the logical album to follow Don't Break the Oath. Okay, so at number 2 and 1 for me, you know it's coming. This was really hard. Both of these are 10 out of 10 albums for me, and I went back and forth, but number 2 for me is Don't Break the Oath, 84, Hendrik Lund production. Bit better from a sound production standpoint than Melissa, but we're going to get to that. I don't know, what can you say? Every song on here is killer. A Dangerous Meeting, Nightmare, The Oath, Gypsy, Come to the Sabbath, Welcome Princess of Hell. Every song on here is killer. Maybe a little bit more focused in the songwriting than on Melissa, but this is just a flawless, incredible album. All right, and of course at number one, we've got Melissa for 1983. Hendrik Lund produced this again. The production on this one is more lo-fi compared to Don't Break the Oath, a little darker and muddier, but I love it. And for me, I think it adds to the atmosphere of this record. Every song on here is great. Evil, Curse of the Pharaohs, Into the Coven, Black Funeral, just riffs flying at you left and right, killer leads everywhere. But for me, what really pushes this one into the number one slot is the mighty Satan's Fall at 11 minutes, 23 seconds. It is like Stained Class was brought into futuristic version of Stained Class. So many killer riffs, just one riff after another. It's just mind-blowing. It's a mind-blowing song. There's so much going on in it from beginning to end. It's just... Sometimes when you have, and on some of these ones like 9, for instance, there's a lot of riffs, but the riffs just aren't catchy enough for me. Here, in this song, we just get killer riff after killer riff. And Melissa is, what an album closer. So scary when you hear King's voice at the end of that, at the end of the song. An amazing album closer. I love this album cover. I love the back album cover too. I love the squares with the band in it. Just an amazing album. So this is a 10 out of 10 for me, as was Don't Break the Oath. All right, there you go. My ranking of the Mercyful Fate albums. Really hard to do because they have so many great albums. Let me know what you guys think of my ranking. How would you rank them, or what would be your favorite or least favorite albums from their catalog? Let me know down below. Till we see you again. Make sure you stay metal.